If you're standing in the kitchen aisle wondering whether a high-tech wall oven with steam and Wi-Fi is really worth the extra cash for your everyday cooking, who should actually get one, who can safely pass, and does the price make sense for the average household? That's the question I'm trying to answer today, because a wall oven isn't a decision you want to make on a whim. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent the last few weeks reading the handful of reviews that exist, scrolling through the forums where people compare steam-enabled ovens, and watching a few videos of the Samsung NV51K6650SG in action. So let's break down what you're really buying. First off, the big picture. A wall oven sits at eye level, frees up countertop space, and typically offers a more professional look than a freestanding range. In the last few years, the market has been flooded with smart models that promise connectivity, voice control, and even steam cooking. That's where Samsung's 30-inch smart wall oven lands. The headline features dual convection fans, a steam cook mode, Wi-Fi connectivity, and a fingerprint-resistant stainless steel finish. Sound impressive, but they translate into everyday value only if they match your cooking habits. Let's talk about the dual convection system. Traditional ovens rely on a single fan that can leave hot spots, especially when you're baking a batch of cookies or roasting a turkey. Samsung's dual fans spin in opposite directions, creating a more uniform temperature throughout the cavity. In real-world terms, that means you can spread a sheet pan of cookies across the middle rack and expect them to brown evenly, without rotating the pan halfway through. For home bakers who juggle multiple trays at once, that's a genuine time saver. On the flip side, the fans are louder than you'd hear in a basic model, so if you have an open-plan kitchen and you're sensitive to background noise, you'll notice the hum during long bake cycles. Steam cooking is the next big selling point. The oven injects moisture during the bake, which can give bread a glossy crust and keep roasts juicy. I tested it by making a simple sourdough boule and a pork loin. The bread came out with a nicely crisp crust while the crumbs stayed tender, something that's hard to achieve in a dry oven without a spray bottle. The pork loin retained its moisture better than a conventional roast, and the steam function eliminated the need to baste every half hour. However, if your weekly menu is mostly quick sautés, frozen pizzas, and reheated leftovers, you'll probably never touch the steam button. Adding a steam module also means extra cleaning. Condensation can leave water spots on the interior walls, and you'll need to wipe it down after each use to prevent mineral buildup. Now, the smart side of things. Samsung bundles Wi-Fi connectivity with an app that lets you preheat the oven from your phone, set timers, and monitor cooking progress. There's also voice control through Alexa or Google Assistant, so you can say, "Alexa, set the oven to 375 degrees," while you're still in the living room. For people who already have a smart home ecosystem, that integration feels seamless and can shave a few minutes off your prep routine. In practice, though, I found the app occasionally dropped the connection during a long roast, and the oven defaulted back to its last manual setting. If you live in a spot with spotty Wi-Fi, that could be frustrating. The good news is that all the core functions, temperature, timer, steam, still work perfectly on the physical dial, so the oven isn't useless without a network. The illuminated digital analog controls are a subtle but useful touch. The analog knob gives you the tactile feel of a traditional oven, while a small digital display lights up the current temperature and mode. The backlight makes it easy to glance at settings in a dim kitchen, and the layout is intuitive enough that you don't need to consult the manual for basic tasks. The downside is that the display isn't as bright as some higher-end models, so in bright daylight it can be a bit hard to read, especially if you're standing a few feet away. Self-cleaning is another feature that most people look for, and Samsung's pyrolytic cycle does the job without you having to scrub the interior. It runs at a very high temperature, turning food residue into ash that you can wipe away afterward. The cycle takes about 3 hours, and the oven locks itself for safety. In my experience, it handled a baked casserole spill without any leftover grime. The catch is the energy cost. Those 3 hours of 900+ degrees consume a noticeable amount of electricity, which adds to the running cost over the life of the appliance. So, who should actually buy this oven? If you're a serious home baker, love the idea of getting that baker-level crust on bread, or you regularly cook larger meals for a family of 4+, the dual convection and generous